No longer only about tennis as Eala deals with her new normal. Eala keeps everything in perspective as she deals with her growing following and stature as the nation's emerging sports heroine. Instead of a W, Eala walked away from her Australian Open debut with a different letter altogether. U, for understanding. Understanding where she stands, not just as a 20-year-old competing in one of tennis' biggest stages, but as the first Filipino to carry the weight of expectations of a nation largely unfamiliar with the ways of tennis at its highest level. From the long queues for tickets to the packed Court 6 at Melbourne Park, where Eala suffered a tough 6-0, 3-6, 2-6 loss to American Alicia Parks despite opening with a bagel, the support for her was, in her own words, overwhelming. Read emotional roller coaster for fans as Eala's fiery start fizzles out. It spilled onto social media as well, with clips of her Australian Open journey drawing massive views and interactions before, during, and after match day. The world number 49 admitted the experience was a double-edged sword, particularly with the outpouring of support from Filipinos based in Australia. It was so heartwarming, and I think that's one of the things that made the loss a bit harder, Eala said. A lot of people are rooting for me. I hope the support continues through the losses and the wins. Just the fact that everyone came out and really squeezed into that cozy court, I really felt the love and I'm super thankful. Like Eala herself, her fans are new to the environment, with majority of them only drawn into the sport only because of Eala. At Melbourne Park in the game against Parks, crowd reactions came at inopportune moments, enthusiasm oftentimes crossing the lines of tennis etiquette, with some netizens going as far as labeling the scenes as unruly. Local media reported long lines at the venue, prompting tighter security measures as organizers worked to manage the influx of supporters. Sydney Morning Herald journalist Belli Eder captured the phenomenon in a feature that dubbed Eala a national hero, written after witnessing a well-attended practice session by the Filipina ahead of her AO main draw debut. A video posted by L'Equipe's Quinton Moynet showed a long queue of fans waiting to get in, hours before Eala even stepped on court. Even the Australian Open's official X account was forced to acknowledge the situation on Twitter and promise to do better in handling the surge of support. All of it is new. The growing attention has inevitably prompted comparisons between the young star and boxing legend Manny Pacquiao, whom Eala has cited as one of her inspirations growing up. The modest Eala, however, was quick to brush off the parallels, saying she and her following are nowhere near the level of the 8-division world champion. Hindi naman ganun. Iba naman si Manny Pacquiao. I think nasa ibang level na siya, Eala said in a report by Rain Cabral of Masterplan Australia via ABS-CBN Global. I mean, naalala ko kapag may laban si Manny, talagang parang bakasyon, young mga tao, hindi pumapasak. Tapos, young buong pamilya, nasa bahay, may lechon, may popcorn. So sa tingin ko, medyo malayo pa ko. Yet for Eala, the Australian Open was less about milestones and more about perspective. I'm the only Filipino who's in the draw right now, and who's ever been in the draw, she said. I'm nowhere near the leagues of the greats like Djokovic, Sabalenka, and Alcaraz. I have so much respect for them. But I'd like to think I have a following for a reason, and I'd like to think that the impact I've had in the platform I've built has a positive impact on certain demographics. My demographic, one of the things I can reflect on for Philippine tennis. Learning, she said, will come with both wins and losses. It's a process to take it all in. Some elements are overwhelming, but I'm still young, and I'm learning how to deal with the attention, she added. Back home, the ripple effect is already visible. Tennis courts are harder to book as more and more people, young and old, both serious and weekend warriors, take up the game, no doubt inspired by Eala's exploits. In a week's time, the Philippines will host its first ever WTA 125 tournament, a milestone that signals another beginning, both for Eala and her home fans. That would be a learning curve too. Get more of the latest sports news and updates on spin.ph. Notice on unauthorized and unlawful use, publication, and/or dissemination of spin.ph content. Please be notified that any unauthorized and unlawful use, publication and/or dissemination of Spin.ph's content and/or materials is a direct violation of its legal and exclusive rights to the same, and shall be subject to appropriate legal action/s. No longer only about tennis, Alex Eala and the shape of a new normal. The sound used to define her days was simple and sharp, the clean pop of a tennis ball meeting strings. Morning to dusk, dusk to floodlights, that sound followed Alex Eala across courts in different countries, under different skies, through seasons measured not in months but in tournaments. Tennis was not just what she did. It was how time moved, how discipline spoke, how dreams announced themselves. Then, quietly at first, the sound began to change. It did not disappear. Tennis never truly leaves someone who has grown up inside it. But it softened, blended with other noises. Conversations that lasted longer than changeovers. Laughter without a scoreboard. The hum of reflection. Life, arriving not as an opponent but as a companion. For years, Alex's story was told in headlines shaped like scorelines. The prodigy. A hope. A standard-bearer. She carried not only her racket bag but also a country's expectations, stitched invisibly into every match she played. Each win felt communal. Each loss felt heavier than it should have been for a teenager still learning who she was beyond the baseline. Tennis gave her structure early. It taught her how to wake before the sun and still find beauty in routine. It taught her that pain could be negotiated with discipline and that confidence was built one repetition at a time. On court, there was clarity. The ball came and she answered. The rules were firm. The lines did not move. Off court was more complicated. Growing up under watchful eyes meant that change rarely happened in private. Every adjustment to her game, every pause, every question about direction was analyzed, debated, framed as progress or regression. There was little space for uncertainty, yet uncertainty is where growth often begins. The new normal did not arrive as a dramatic turning point. It arrived slowly, like a long rally where neither player rushes the finish. It arrived in moments of rest that felt unfamiliar. In days when tennis was not the first thought upon waking. In the realization that identity does not have to be singular to be strong. Alex began to understand that she was allowed to expand. She was still an athlete, still competitive, still driven. But she was also a young woman curious about the world beyond the court. Education, conversations, causes, culture, and quiet self-discovery started to matter not as distractions but as enrichments. Tennis no longer demanded exclusivity. It learned to share space. In this new normal, success was redefined. It was no longer only about ranking points or trophies lifted under bright lights. Success became balance. The ability to sit with doubt without panic. The courage to say, I am still becoming, in a world that prefers finished products.